Hello everyone, this is Chromý and together we will continue the course Interdisciplinary Approaches to Language and its Use too. In this presentation we will shift our attention from variationist sociolinguistics to a neighboring field of research, namely communication accommodation. People have a tendency to modify the way they speak based on the way how their communication partner speaks. For example, people may start to speak more similarly to each other or pronounce the differences. This phenomenon is called communication accommodation. Accommodation takes place, at least to a certain extent, in every single interaction. Also, we may assume that accommodation may lead to certain long-term changes. In this presentation, we will focus on the short-term accommodation, which happens in the course of a single interaction. The long-term accommodation will be then discussed in the next presentation. The founder of the communication accommodation theory is social psychologist Howard Giles. His early studies were published in the 1970s, and since that time, the theory has undergone various modifications and changes. We will present the main aspects of the theory here. Giles defined four main processes which can happen during accommodation. The first is convergence, which is the process when a speaker shifts towards the communication partner. For example, a certain speaker may start using a standard language, but may gradually shift towards a more casual speech under the influence of the communication partner, who herself uses casual speech. An opposite process is divergence, when the speaker accentuates his or her speech differences. Convergence and divergence may be mutual if the speakers are either shifting towards each other or from each other. Both processes can also be one-sided if only one of the speakers is converging or diverging from the other one. Two possibilities are distinguished among convergence and divergence, namely maintenance, when both speakers maintain their code, and complementarity, when the speakers take specific communication roles in their interaction, such as the waiter and the guest in a luxurious restaurant. To give you an example of communication accommodation, we might look into Nicholas Coupland's study Style Shifting in a Cardiff Work Setting. Coupland recorded interactions of a travel agency assistant Sue with 51 clients with differing social economic background. Based on these recordings, he compared the use of several linguistic variables by the clients and by the assistant. Coupland showed that the assistant tended to converge towards the speech of her clients. In the plot, we can see different occupational classes on the x-axis. I means the most prestigious occupation and V the least prestigious. And on the y-axis, there is the percentage of use of the less standard variant of the ing variable, which is alveolar n instead of velar n. We can see that the clients differ in their use of this variable. Some do not use the less standard variant at all, others use it quite often. But the most important thing is the assistant's behavior. We can see that the rate of her use of the alveolar variant is somehow reflecting the use of this variant by her clients. In the communication with clients who use this variant to a higher degree, she used this variant more than in communication with clients who used it to a lesser extent or who did not use it at all. Similar results were found also for other analyzed variables. Before we will conclude this presentation, I have one reading tip for you. And this is a nice review article by Cindy Galloa and her colleagues, Communication Accommodation Theory, a Look Back and a Look Ahead. If you would like to know more about communication accommodation theory, this is a good point where to start. If you enjoy the presentations, we would be glad if you would like them on YouTube. This is all from me now. See you next time.